Some people believe in destiny, others trust chance. I always thought relationships were like broken electronics. The more you try to force them, the worse the problem gets. Welcome to Tales Beyond, where real stories come to life. This is my story about how a casual banter revealed something neither of us was ready to admit. Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for more stories like this. My name is Jake, I'm 29, and I spend my days fixing cell phones, laptops, and shattered digital dreams at my small electronics shop. It's in one of those suburban Seattle strip malls, nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me busy. After my divorce 2 years ago, I developed a simple routine. Open at 8, close at 6, go home, watch Netflix, and sleep. It works for me. That routine lasted until a Tuesday morning when I saw a woman struggling with huge boxes in front of the shop next door. The space had been empty for months, so imagine my surprise to see someone moving in. She had brown hair tied in a messy ponytail and wore a t-shirt that had definitely seen better days. The box she was carrying seemed to weigh more than she did. "Need a hand?" I asked, stepping out of my shop. She looked up, and I could see the relief in her green eyes. "If you don't mind, that'd be amazing." I took the box from her hands. It was heavy, all right, full of what looked like vases and gardening supplies. "Are you opening a flower shop?" "Emma," she introduced herself, extending a hand. "And yes, finally making an old dream come true." "Jake," I replied, shaking her hand. "Electronics right next door. If your plants need Wi-Fi, I can sort that out." She laughed, a genuine sound that broke the morning tension. I helped carry 3 more boxes, each one revealing more about her plans: seeds, tools, decorative arrangements. It was clear she'd planned this carefully. "Thanks so much," she said when we finished. "First official day, and I'm already owing favors." "Neighbors help neighbors," I replied, and I truly believe that. The next 2 weeks passed in a subtle dance of morning greetings and casual chats. Emma always arrived before me, already working when I opened my shop. Sometimes I'd see her through the window, arranging flowers or watering plants. She had an intense focus I admired. Our first real conversation happened on a rainy Thursday. She was standing in front of the local coffee shop, looking at the menu with a frustrated expression. I walked over and asked if everything was all right. "Trying to decide if it's worth $5 for a coffee when I'm still counting every penny for the business," she confessed. Without a second thought, I ordered 2 coffees. "Consider it a welcome to the neighborhood gift." She hesitated but accepted. "I promise to pay you back when I start making a profit." "No rush," I said, and there really wasn't. We settled into a routine. I'd drop by her flower shop at the end of the day. She'd pop into my shop when she needed a break. Light conversations about business, the weather, plans for our shops. Nothing deep but comfortable. It was during one of these chats that she casually mentioned, "Tomorrow marks exactly 1 year." "1 year of what?" I asked, adjusting a phone on the counter. "Since my engagement ended, 3 weeks before the wedding." Her voice was neutral, but I noticed her hands nervously fiddling. I stopped what I was doing. "That's rough." "That's why I'm here, opening a flower shop instead of being on a honeymoon in Cancun." She let out a humorless laugh. "Funny how life takes unexpected turns." "Well," I said, trying to lighten the mood, "if you ever need someone to fix emotional damage, I only do light repairs, nothing too complicated." She truly smiled this time. I'll remember that offer. I didn't mention my own divorce at that moment, but I felt a connection I hadn't expected. 2 people rebuilding their lives, side by side, without pressure or expectations. The moment that changed everything happened 2 weeks later. Emma showed up at my shop around lunchtime with a plastic container. "Made too much pasta last night," she said, placing the container on my counter. "Thought you might want some." "You cook in addition to working with plants?" "Survival skill," she joked. "Learned that daily takeout breaks any budget." I decided to take a chance. "Want to have lunch here? I've got a table in the back and decent coffee." She agreed, and we spent an hour talking about everything and nothing. I found out she'd studied business before deciding to follow her passion for plants. I told her how I ended up fixing electronics after giving up on engineering. Honest conversations about life choices and fresh starts. "I'm not looking for anything right now," she said when the topic veered toward relationships. "I need to focus on myself for a while." I totally get that, I replied, and it was true. Sometimes the best company is your own. But even as I said it, something had shifted. The way she'd laugh at my bad jokes, how I'd look forward to seeing her every morning. We were building something, even if neither of us wanted to admit it. The following weeks brought a growing intimacy neither of us had planned. Emma started asking for my help with small things, changing a burnt-out light bulb, figuring out why her sound system wasn't working. I always found excuses to pop into the flower shop when she was closing, offering to help carry heavy things or just check in. "You don't need to protect me," she said one night, laughing as I insisted on carrying a bag of soil to her car. "I'm not protecting you. I'm being a good neighbor," I replied, but we both knew there was more to it. The tension between us was palpable, but carefully unmentioned. Small touches when we passed things to each other. The way she bit her lower lip when she was focused, something I'd started noticing too much. The way I found reasons to stand close when she needed to reach something high. "Jake," she said one day, as I was helping her hang a new sign in front of her shop, "can I ask you a personal question?" "Sure," I replied, holding the sign in place while she marked where to drill the holes. "Are you ever afraid to get too close to someone again?" The question caught me off guard. I stopped what I was doing and looked at her. Every single day. It's weird, isn't it? How one person can hurt us so much that we're scared to try again. But at the same time, I said, choosing my words carefully, sometimes we find someone who makes us forget why we were scared. She looked at me for a long moment. "Yeah, sometimes." That conversation hung in the air between us for the next few days. I found myself observing details about her that had gone unnoticed before, how she always smelled faintly of lavender, the way her eyes would light up when she talked about an arrangement that had turned out perfectly, the way she lowered her voice when she was unsure about something. "You're watching me again," she said one afternoon, catching me looking through the display window. "I was checking to see if you were being robbed." I lied shamelessly. "Of course you were." She smiled, but there was something different in her gaze. "For your information, I watch you sometimes too." My heart did a little flutter. "Oh yeah? You drum your fingers on the counter when you're concentrating, and you always check your phone at exactly 3 in the afternoon, every day." She was right. I didn't even know I did that. Observant. Occupational hazard. Plants taught me to pay attention to details. It was true that our friendship had evolved into something deeper, more complex. Impromptu dinners became frequent. She'd bring food, I'd provide the coffee and the space. We talked about ex-relationships without much drama, about dreams we'd given up on and others we still pursued. "My ex used to say I was too much of a dreamer," she confessed one night, playing with the leftover food on her plate. "That opening a flower shop was too impractical." "Well, he obviously didn't know you very well," I replied. "You're one of the most determined people I've ever met." "Thanks. That means a lot, especially coming from someone who built a business from scratch, too." Moments like these accumulated, creating a solid foundation of mutual understanding. But they also increased the unresolved tension between us. Sometimes our eyes would meet for a second longer than usual. Other times, one of us would start to say something, stop mid-sentence, and change the subject. "Jake," she said one night, after we'd spent 3 hours talking about everything and nothing, "do you think two broken people can actually help each other heal?" "I think broken people understand pain in a way others can't," I replied honestly. "That can be the start of something really strong, or it could be a recipe for disaster." "That's true too." She laughed, but there was melancholy there. "We're pretty cautious, aren't we?" "We are, and maybe that's not a bad thing." 3 weeks after that conversation, Sarah, the local coffee shop barista, showed up at our shops one Saturday morning with an unusual request. "You two are the only business owners I know well around here," she said, looking from me to Emma. "We're organizing a charity event for the local shelter collecting clothes and basic necessities. We need volunteers to help sort donations. Are you guys in?" Emma and I looked at each other. "Sure," we said almost simultaneously. "Great! It's this afternoon at the community center. 2 o'clock?" And so we found ourselves side by side on a Saturday afternoon, in a room full of boxes of donated clothes, sorting items by size and type. There was something different about working together like this, away from our shops, in a completely new environment. "Who donates a silk tie to a homeless shelter drive?" Emma asked, holding up an obviously expensive tie. "Someone who has no idea what people actually need." I replied, folding a pile of t-shirts, "Or someone trying to get rid of an ex-wife's gift." That was oddly specific. Personal experience. I donated half my ex's wardrobe after he called off the wedding. We worked in silence for a few minutes, the kind of comfortable silence that only exists between people who know each other well. But there was something in the air, a different energy I couldn't quite pinpoint. "Jake," she said without stopping her folding, "can I confess something to you?" "Always. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like if we tried something together." My heart stopped, literally stopped for a second before restarting at double speed. "Oh yeah. It's silly, I know. We're neighbors, we're good the way we are, and we both said we're not looking for anything." "Emma. And it would probably be a complete disaster, because neither of us is really ready to." "Emma." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were bright, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. "I wonder about that too," I confessed. "A lot. More than I should." The admission hung between us like an invisible thread. For a moment, neither of us moved. The noise around us, other people talking, boxes being moved, seemed to fade away. "So what do we do with that information?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "I don't know," I replied honestly. "I don't have a playbook for this." She laughed nervously. "Me neither." We went back to work, but something fundamental had changed. The air between us was charged with unexplored possibilities. Every accidental touch of our hands as we passed clothes became electrifying. Every glance lasted a little longer than necessary. "You know," I said, trying to break the tension with humor, "if we actually tried something together, it would probably be an epic disaster. Two traumatized divorcees trying to figure out how a healthy relationship works." Emma stopped folding clothes and looked me directly in the eyes. "I wonder about that a lot." The three words came out so softly I almost didn't hear them, but I did hear them, and I understood exactly what she meant. "Wonder what?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. "Us, together." She swallowed hard. "I wonder what it would be like to wake up next to you, what it would be like to kiss you, what it would be like to trust someone completely again." The world stopped, literally stopped. I could hear my own heart beating in my ears. I could feel every molecule of air entering my lungs. She had said it. She had finally said aloud what we had both been feeling for weeks. "Emma," I started, but she shook her head. "You don't have to say anything right now. I needed you to know." But I wanted to say that I imagined those things too, that I had spent nights awake thinking about what it would be like to truly be with her, that the idea of a relationship terrified and excited me at the same time. "I imagine it too," I finally said. "More than is healthy, probably." She smiled, a small but genuine smile. "So maybe we're not so crazy after all. Or maybe we're crazy on the same frequency. Maybe." We spent the rest of the afternoon working side by side, but now with a new honesty between us. We didn't talk about the subject anymore, but we didn't need to. The cards were on the table. We both knew there was something real there, something worth exploring, despite the fears and uncertainties. When the event ended and we were putting away the last boxes, Sarah came over to thank us. "You two work really well together," she commented innocently. "You make a good team." Emma and I looked at each other, and this time we didn't look away immediately. "Yeah," Emma said softly, "we do." The following Monday was weird. I spent all of Sunday night thinking about Emma's confession, replaying every word, every expression on her face when she said she imagined us together. I opened the shop at the usual time, but I found myself glancing at her flower shop every 5 minutes. Emma arrived later than usual, and when she finally showed up, she was carrying a paper bag and a nervous expression. She hesitated at my shop door before coming in. "Brought a peace offering," she said, placing the bag on the counter. "Chocolate cake. Made it last night when I couldn't sleep." "Peace offering for what?" I asked, though I suspected the answer. "For making things awkward yesterday. For saying too much." She nervously fidgeted with her hands. "I don't want our friendship to be ruined because of an impulsive confession." I stopped fixing the phone on the counter and looked at her. Do you think it was impulsive? I don't know. Was it? You've been avoiding eye contact since you got here. She was right. I had been avoiding it, but not for the reasons she thought. I'm not avoiding it because I'm uncomfortable. I'm avoiding it because I can't stop thinking about what you said. Jake? Let me finish. I took a deep breath. I spent all night awake thinking about us. About what would happen if we actually tried something. And the truth is, I'm terrified and excited at the same time. She leaned against the counter. Terrified why? Because my last relationship left me questioning everything about my ability to make someone happy. Because I'm afraid of screwing up our friendship. Because you're too important for me to bear losing. And excited why? Because for the first time in 2 years, I wake up thinking about someone specific. Because you make me genuinely laugh. Because when I'm with you, I feel like I can be completely myself. Emma was quiet for a long moment, processing my words. So what do we do now? Honestly, I have no idea. I laughed nervously. I've never been in a situation like this. Usually my relationships start with physical attraction, and then we try to figure out if we get along. With you, it's the opposite. I already know we get along incredibly well. And the physical attraction? She asked with a shy smile. Emma, if you're asking if I find you attractive, the answer is absolutely yes. I have to control myself not to stare at you all the time. She blushed but didn't look away. Well, that's good to know. So what's the next step? How about we're honest about what we want and stop pretending we're just friendly neighbors? I can live with that. I replied, but we have to take it slow. Neither of us is ready to dive headfirst. Completely agree. It was then that I remembered something. Speaking of being honest, is your dad's camera still broken? My dad's? Yeah, why? Because maybe I can fix it if you want. Her eyes lit up. Seriously? That would be amazing. It's an old camera that belonged to my grandpa. My dad's heartbroken he can't use it anymore. Bring it here. Let's see what I can do. She brought the camera the next morning, a vintage Nikon from the 80s, clearly well cared for, but with some mechanism issues. I spent 2 hours working on it, cleaning contacts, adjusting small parts. Emma sat on the other side of the counter, talking to me while I worked. You have impressive focus, she observed. Electronics don't lie. If something's broken, there's always a logical reason. Relationships are more complicated. But maybe not as much as we think. I looked up. What do you mean? Well, we both know exactly what we want. We want to try something together, but carefully. We want to keep our friendship as a base. We want to be honest with each other. It doesn't seem so complicated when we put it that way. She was right. When you put it that way, it almost sounds simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we're overcomplicating it. I finished fixing the camera and tested the mechanism. It worked perfectly. Done. Good as new. Emma carefully picked up the camera, as if it were something precious. Jake, this is... Thank you. My dad will be thrilled. My pleasure. She stood up but hesitated at the door. Jake? Yeah? To be completely honest, I don't want to pretend we're just friends anymore. I don't want to measure every word or worry if I'm being too obvious about how I feel. Me neither. So are we doing this? Really trying? We're doing this. She smiled, a radiant smile that lit up her entire face. Okay then. See you for dinner tonight? My turn to cook. Is it a date? It's our first official date. 3 months later, I was sorting parts on my counter one Thursday morning when Emma walked in like she always did, but this time she didn't hesitate before giving me a good morning kiss. How'd you sleep? She asked, settling into the chair that had officially become hers. Good, you? I dreamed we were traveling, somewhere with mountains. Sounds nice. The 3 months had passed in a natural and comfortable progression. Dates that started formal and quickly became relaxed. Conversations that deepened our connection. Physical moments that evolved at the right pace for both of us. There was no drama or grand romantic gestures, just two people figuring out how to fit their lives together. Jake, she said that morning, playing with a small succulent she'd brought to decorate my counter. Can I tell you something? Always. I'm not going anywhere. The statement caught me by surprise. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not afraid anymore that this is temporary. I'm not waiting for you to realize you can do better. I'm not guarding myself anymore, just in case it goes wrong. She looked me directly in the eyes. I'm all in on this relationship, Jake, with you. I felt something release in my chest, a tension I hadn't even known I was carrying. Emma? Just needed you to know. I got up and walked around the counter to her. I gently touched her face with my hands. I'm not going anywhere either, and not because it's comfortable or convenient. It's because you're the first person in years who makes me want to build something lasting. Even with all our emotional baggage? Especially because of our emotional baggage, we both know what we don't want. That makes us more careful with what we build together. She smiled and leaned in for a long, soft kiss. So we're officially committed to this? Officially committed. Good, because I was already planning where to put some plants in your house. I laughed. My house definitely needs some plants. Now, when I look back, I realize I stopped imagining what it would be like to be with Emma the moment we admitted our feelings at the charity event. Not because the feelings lessened, but because imagining was replaced by living. Waking up next to her on weekend mornings isn't a fantasy anymore. It's my new favorite reality. The way she laughs at my bad jokes isn't something I dream about anymore. It's something I hear every day. The feeling of trusting someone completely after being hurt isn't an abstract concept anymore. It's something I experience daily. Relationships don't have to be dramatic to be deep. Sometimes true love doesn't arrive like a hurricane, but like a spring morning, gradual, warm, and completely natural. Emma and I built our story not on grand romantic gestures, but on small moments of honesty, patience, and mutual choice. The banter about imagining us together became a reality not because we forced it, but because we stopped resisting what we already knew to be true. Sometimes the best love story is the one you build, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, day by day, until you realize you're no longer imagining a future together. You're living that future. Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for more stories like this. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that second chances exist, but they only work when you're ready to be vulnerable again. Emma and I were lucky enough to be ready at the same time, in the right place, with the right person. And that, I've found, is worth far more than any fantasy I could have imagined.